Hi, folks. Welcome to Word Module 1. We will be creating a flyer in this module. So if you'd like, you can follow along in your book. We're going to start with Word 1, page 1. You can follow along with this lecture in your book. You can also follow along on another screen and create this flyer along with me. But whatever you do, make sure to please take notes on your note sheet as we go through how to make this flyer. Finally, up on your screen, there is a quick screenshot of what you will be creating. In this chapter, we are looking at how to create a flyer. So this is your final flyer. You can see it has a picture and some text, has a page border and some colors in it. So we'll be going through how to create a flyer similar to this one. Let's get started. Let's start at the very beginning. To open a Word or create a Word document, you need to open the Word program. So one way you can do that is on the Start menu. So click your little Windows icon, find the program Word, and click and open it. You can also type the program name down here at the bottom and click on it to open it too as well if you use that search bar in Windows 10. So we want a blank document. So I will create a blank document. And then as we go along, I'm going to follow along with the instructions in the book. So whether you read the book or listen to this lecture, you'll still be creating the same flyer. We have a couple of things to look at when we look at Word. First of all, you have your document window, which is this area right here. You have a status bar down here at the bottom and a zoom area, so you can zoom in and out of your document down here. And then up at the top, you have things called, well, this entire area is called a ribbon, and there are different tabs on that ribbon. Inside each of the tabs are different sections with different features and buttons within each one of those sections. So as I go through, I'm going to call these tabs up here at the top. So if I say click on the Home tab and look in the font area, you would be looking on the Home tab in this font area right here. So the other thing to know is that this is my mouse cursor, and that's my blinking cursor. That lets me know where the typing is going to go on my document. So to begin with, let's go ahead and adjust the margins in our document. So to adjust margins, we need to look on the Layout tab in the Page Setup area. There's an icon that says Margins. So let's go ahead and click on the Margin button and change to the narrow margin setting. And then let's type some text. So this is going to be a flyer about hand washing. And then I will hit enter. We talked a little bit already about the zooming in and out in our document, but that's how you do that. And also, in class, we talked a little bit about this, but this is our paragraph show hide button. It shows us the formatting marks within our document. So we can see when we have the formatting marks on, the box is grayed out. When we turn it off, we click on it again to turn it off, it goes away. Formatting marks have dots in between each of the words because the dots represent spaces from the space bar. And the little paragraph icons means enter. So I am going to hit one more enter, and leaving the paragraph marks on, I'm going to type this next sentence. So you can see how I'm putting in my spaces between each word. So if you notice, as I was typing, when I got to the end of the line, I continued to type and my words wrapped down to the next line. This is called word wrap, and this is very important to let Word wrap your words around to the next line when you're typing within the same sentence and same paragraph. You do not want to put an inner at the end of each of your lines because that will mess up things later when it comes time to format. So word wrap, wrapping the text as you type. Now, you may have noticed earlier, but if I make a typing mistake, a red squiggle line will appear underneath of my word. So in that case, I had typed foodborne incorrectly, and I could right-click on foodborne and find the correct spelling of that word. All right, I'm going to continue typing my flyer. As I go along, I'm going to make some spelling mistakes so that we can practice correcting them. Now, if you notice, there are some red squiggle lines within my document, which lets me know that I have some spelling errors. So we'll start with the word that was supposed to be clean. If I right-click that word, it will give me a list of possible options. What did I mean when I typed C-L-E-N? Well, I actually meant clean. So I can choose that word, and it will replace the misspelled word with the correctly spelled word. If you notice, the spelling errors for double words or words typed twice are also flagged so that I can easily remove duplicated words. So as I go through and remove things, one thing I want you to think about is the difference between using the backspace button on your keyboard and the delete key on your keyboard. So spend a little time here and see if you can figure out what those two buttons do and how they are different. Okay, so after I typed the word hairdryer, I did go ahead and hit enter a second time so that I have a blank line between those lines. And now I am going to type some more text. So now that I have put in a bunch of text, I need to go ahead and save my document for the first time. So I need to click to do this. I click on the File tab in the ribbon, and I want to select Save As so that I can name this document exactly what I want. I'm going to save it to this PC. And then if you'll notice, I have an area here where I can enter in the file name. So for this, I'm going to call it Wash Hands Flyer, and I'll go ahead and click this Save button right here on the side. Next up, let's talk about formatting paragraphs and characters. So this will change how my document looks. So first of all, let me go ahead and change my document theme. A theme controls the colors and the fonts and basically how the entire document looks. So to find theme, I go to the Design tab, and in the document formatting area, I see themes. The default theme is Office. However, I am going to go ahead and change it to the Slate theme. And as I hover over different themes, you'll notice that I get a preview of what it looks like. But in this case, I want the Slate theme. So you can see my document looks a little bit different. Now I need to go ahead and center my paragraph right here, this title line. So I click in the line, and then on the Home tab in my paragraph area, I click the center button. That will align my paragraph in the middle. Next, I want to select this entire line. So to do this, I click on one side of the line, hold my left mouse button down, and drag through the entire line. Then I release my mouse button. You'll notice I get a small miniature mini toolbar that I can use if I want to, if I have what I need on there, or I can go up to my home tab and look in the paragraph area. So in the paragraph area, I go ahead and click center to also center this text. Now let me go back up to this line, wash your hands. So remember to select the entire line. I can click, hold down my mouse button and drag through it. There is also another way. If I come over to the left side of the document, you'll see my mouse pointer changes into a arrow. If I click at that point, it will highlight the entire line of text that I'm beside. Also get my mini toolbar again. So now if I want to change the size of the font that I've selected, I could do it right here on that mini toolbar, or if I look on my home tab in the font area, I'll find numbers. This controls the size of my font. So right now, size 11 is set, but I want to increase it to 36 points. There we go. So I click on 36. Now I also want to change the type of font to make this look a little bit different. So by default, the default font is set to Calibri, but in this case, because we changed the theme of the document, it is now Callisto, but I can change it to any other kind of font that I want to. So to change the font, if I look in the font area of the home tab font area, and click on the drop down arrow, I can choose different fonts, and they're in alphabetical order. I'm going to scroll down to the R's and find Rockwell Extra Bold for the title of my flyer. Next, I want to change the case of the selected text. So for instance, if you notice, the letters in this title are mostly lowercase, but the first letter of each word is capitalized. I can change that very easily for the whole line of text if I'd like. If I look on my home tab in the font area, I'll find the change case button. If I click on it, right now it's set to have sentence case. But if I want to make all of those letters uppercase, I can simply choose the uppercase choice and it will change all those letters to uppercase without me having to retype anything. And then also, let's go ahead and set a text effect to this selected text to make it stand out a little bit more. So in the home tab, in the font area, there is what looks like a glowing A. It's called the text effect button. If I click on that, you'll see I have some suggestions up here at the top and then also some different options down at the bottom. I want fill white, outline brown, accent color 1, glow brown, accent color 1. So it's this option right here. As I hover over it, you'll notice the name of the choice quickly flashes up for me so I can double check. As you're going through here, when you are picking text, especially when you're working on a project in SAM, it's very important that you pick the exact text, the exact color, the exact choice that is stated in the directions. So I'll pick this. And then also, so now I am done with changing my title. So I can click anywhere in the document to deselect the text. Next off, let's talk about shading a paragraph. So to shade a paragraph, you need to click somewhere in the paragraph to be shaded. So in this case, we're back to the headline. So if I just click somewhere in that headline, then I can look on my home tab. In my paragraph area this time, there's an icon that looks like a paint bucket. If I click on that, I can choose brown accent 4, darker 25% as my color. And that will change the highlighting, the paragraph shading color. So now I want to select the next two lines in this document. So I can click and drag through the lines if I'd like, Or if I get my right facing arrow or over here on the side and click and drag through both lines, I can select them that way. Then let's change the color of this font. So on the Home tab in the font area, this button right here, this A with the red underline, allows me to change the font color. So now I can come down here. Notice that the font colors are flashing up as I hover over them. And I would like red, accent 5, darker 25%. Once again, be very careful as you're choosing your colors that they match the directions exactly. And then change the font size of the selected text. We've already done this once in the Home tab in the font area. If I look at the size, I can change it to 22. Now, I may want to zoom out a little bit so that I can see my document a little bit better. And now let's take a look at selecting the lines below that we have not changed yet. So if I get my right facing arrow, click and drag, I can select all the lines in that document. Let me go ahead and change their font size. Let's make them 20 points. Next off, I want each of these lines numbered under the word how. So if I click and drag through each of these lines, or I click with my right facing arrow and drag through, I can then apply a number list. So to find numbering, it's in the Home tab in the paragraph area, and the button is called Numbering. So I'll click on that. It automatically numbers each of those lines. Now I'll scroll down. Another good button to know about is the Undo button. So the Undo button is up here at the top. If I click the Undo button, it undoes the last thing that I just did. To redo, this button right here redoes the last thing I just did. So Undo, Redo, two important buttons to know about. I'm going to come down underneath of the When and highlight these lines right here, all but the last line. And this time I am going to add bullets. So in the Home tab paragraph area, the bullet option. Next up, let's look down here at the bottom. If you notice, as I typed this web address down here at the bottom, it automatically made it a web link. So if I were to hold my control button and click on it, it would actually open up that website. To remove a hyperlink, I right click on it and choose Remove Hyperlink. So this last line is considered the signature line. So I want my cursor in that signature line and I want to center it. And then if I choose that entire line, so I want the font in this area to be 18. I want the color to be red, accent 5, darker 25%. And then I'd like to underline the words additional hand washing tips. So to do that, I click and get my cursor in front of additional hand washing tips, hold my mouse button down and drag through the end of that line, stopping right before the period. To underline, I can use my mini toolbar and choose the underline option, or in my Home tab, on my Home tab in the font area, I can choose the underline option too as well. Now, a couple more things I want to do. I want to italicize some text. So I need to highlight the word prevent, just the word prevent. So I click and drag through that word. Italicize is on the Home tab in the font area. And then now I want to select some non-adjacent text. That pretty much means text that's not right beside each other. So this is a little tricky. To do it, you highlight the first word, then you hold down your control key, highlight the next word, which in this case is lather, then the next word, scrub, rinse, and dry. While I'm highlighting these words, once I've highlighted the first one, I hold the control key down and keep it down till the very end. Then I can release the control key and press the bold button on the quick toolbar or up here in the home tab in the font area. Basically, that bolds everything at once. If you can't get that to work, you can certainly go through and highlight and bold each individual word, but it's much quicker to be able to use the control key and do it all together. So now that I'm done, I am going to save this file again, but I'm actually going to save it with a different name. So if I go to my File tab, my Save As button, I can come up here and change the name slightly. So I'm going to call it Formatted at the end, and then click my Save button. That will allow me to have two different versions of this document.